I stood frozen, the weight of her words pinning me in place. Her laughter rang through the kitchen, sharp, mocking, a sound that felt like a slap I couldn't block. My wife, the woman I had shared 8 years of my life with, sat across from me at the table, her lips curved into a smirk that wasn't quite kind. There was no regret in her eyes, only something cool and distant. "Jason," she said, as if speaking to a child too slow to grasp the obvious. "It was just one night with someone else. You'll get over it." Those words landed harder than the confession itself. I felt my chest constrict, my fingers digging into the edge of the table as they trembled. One night, just one night. As though the vows we had exchanged, the trust one had offered her, the future we had been building, could be dismissed like a misplaced sweater. This moment didn't come out of nowhere. For weeks, maybe months, I had felt something slipping. Emma hadn't pulled away in the obvious ways. She still kissed me before leaving for work, still made her favorite pasta every Friday, still curled against me during our usual movie nights. But there was a hollowness under it all, a distance that routine couldn't disguise. Her phone, once abandoned on the couch without a thought, never seemed to leave her hand anymore. She stayed late at the office more often. When I touched her, she didn't recoil, but she didn't lean into me either. I told myself it was work stress, that every marriage had seasons of closeness and drift. Then came last Friday. While she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the counter. I had never invaded her privacy before. I'd promised myself I never would. But something inside me broke, and my hand reached for it almost on its own. The screen lit up. Asterisk last night was unforgettable. Can't stop thinking about you. Asterisk. I stood there, the bathroom steam curling around me, my heart hammering loud enough to drown everything else. When she came out wrapped in a towel, I just stared at her. She noticed. "What?" she asked, too casually. I held up the phone. For a moment her expression shifted, not to guilt, but to annoyance, as though I had interrupted a thought she'd been having. That led to tonight. To the kitchen table. To her laughter. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I waited for her to deny it, to explain it away, to tell me that I had misunderstood everything. Instead, she leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, and gave me a small laugh. "One night, Jason," she repeated, shaking her head like it was nothing. It didn't mean anything. We'd had a fight. I drank too much. He was just there. You know how it is. But I don't know how it is. I've never turned to someone else because we argued. She rolled her eyes. "You're making this a bigger deal than it is." Her words scraped against me like claws. Was I supposed to make myself smaller to fit her version of events? Pretend my heart hadn't just been cracked wide open? That night, sleep wouldn't come. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him, a faceless figure, blurred but vivid enough to taint every memory we had. I thought of our wedding day, how her tears had fallen as she whispered her vows, promising me forever. But forever, it seemed, had an expiration date. By dawn, I sat on the couch, staring at the walls we had painted together, at the pictures of our vacations, our holidays, our life carefully pieced together over the years. And for the first time, I asked myself the question I never imagined I would. Can love survive betrayal? The next evening, I asked her again, calmly this time, almost pleading. "Why, Emma? Why him? Why that night?" She let out a sigh, her voice edged with impatience. "Do we really have to go over this again? I told you it didn't mean anything." "But it means something to me." My voice cracked. "It means everything to me." She looked at me then, softer but still far away. "Jason, you're a good man. You always have been. But sometimes you're too serious. Too in your head. I just wanted something different. Just once." Different. Just once. The words hit me like a slap. I felt like a book she had grown tired of, a story she'd put down for something more exciting. The more I tried to talk to her, the clearer it became. She wasn't sorry. Not really. There were no tears, no desperate apologies, no promises to fight for what we had. Only a tired shrug, as if my pain were just another inconvenience. And that, somehow, hurt worse than the affair itself. Because the betrayal wasn't only about the night she spent with another man. It was about how easily she dismissed my heartbreak, as if it were nothing. Days bled into weeks, each one heavier than the last. I caught myself watching her when she thought I wasn't looking, searching her face for something, love, guilt, regret, anything at all. But Emma carried on as if nothing had happened. She still went to work, still laughed with her friends, still scrolled through her phone while I sat in silence. Sometimes I'd hear her humming while she cooked dinner, and it twisted something inside me. How could she be so at peace when I was unraveling? One night, I asked quietly, "Do you even want to stay married to me?" She paused, spatula in hand, then shrugged. "Of course. Why wouldn't I?" "Because you broke us," I wanted to shout. "Because I can't breathe without feeling the weight of what you did. Because every time I look at you, I see him." But I said nothing. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. We were out with friends, laughing, drinking wine. For a moment, I let myself believe we were still us. But on the drive home, she laughed that same sharp, careless laugh and said, "See, I told you everything would go back to normal. You're already getting over it." That was when I knew I wasn't getting over it. I was drowning, and she wasn't going to save me. That night, I packed a bag. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "Really, Jason? You're leaving over one night?" I zipped the suitcase, my hands steadier than I expected. "No, Emma. I'm leaving because you laughed. Because you made my pain a joke. Because you decided my love was something you could gamble for a night of excitement." She scoffed, shook her head. "You'll regret this." Maybe I would. Maybe I wouldn't. But in that moment, something inside me loosened, and I could finally take that first step out the door. The weeks that followed were chaos, dividing up our lives, signing papers, friends quietly choosing sides. Some nights the loneliness threatened to crush me. But slowly I realized, being lonely was better than being with someone who dismissed my hurt. Pain doesn't just disappear. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight. But dignity is something you can still hold on to. Months later, we ran into each other at the grocery store. She smiled like nothing had happened. "How have you been, Jason?" she asked, light as ever. I met her eyes, calm now, stronger than I had been. And for a moment, I saw something flicker in her expression. Not regret, maybe, but understanding that I wasn't the man she could laugh at and expect to stay. I walked away, leaving her standing there between the aisles. And for the first time in months, I felt free. Because betrayal isn't just the act. It's how someone treats the wound afterward. Emma's affair didn't just break us, her laughter did. Love can endure mistakes, can even survive cheating. But it cannot survive mockery, dismissal, or the absence of remorse. When she laughed and said, "It was just one night. You'll get over it," she was wrong. I didn't get over it. I got out.